Hey everyone, Pastor George here. Welcome to Thursday Mailbag. And this week I have a question from Joan. And this is a good question. The title of this video you might think you that maybe a man asked this question, but no, not the case. So anyway, Joan here is, I guess, talking about a court case that she was watching on TV. Oh, maybe Judge Judy or something. I don't know. Anyway, apparently there's this I'll have it up on the screen here so you can look at it. But I'm just going to kind of summarize it. Apparently, a wife and a husband were fighting over stimulus check in court, right? And she sued him to get half of his stimulus money, but he's homeless or something, not a good situation, right? And uh, he kept the $7,000, right, that he got through his stimulus question. And she is saying that he is also cheating at this time, right, and that he maybe has other women. And so what he cites apparently are these figures from history or myth or whatever you want to call them. He uses Hercules as an example apparently, and Moses, and a third name. I don't know who that would be. And they had many women. So I guess he's saying that if it's in the Bible, it's okay. And so she's wondering, about the polygamy in the Bible. And this is actually a really good question because this is something that comes up pretty often. Like we see this if you look at the Bible, right? If you look at First Kings or Samuel or other parts, you'll see that, or even Abraham, right, where he has like a handmaiden or whatever. They have like multiple women in their lives, especially if you're like looking especially at Solomon, who's the famous one. And the interesting thing here is like, why don't we do that? I think one reason, I think it's not okay in the Bible in general because we have consistent overtones despite these figures. We'll talk about them in a little bit, who have many women in their lives. We have consistent overtones throughout the Bible that actually men and women are supposed to be joined together in marriage, and you get this from Genesis all the way up through the epistles in the New Testament, and they consistently cite a section in Genesis, and I'm just going to read you from a section on Jesus here, and Jesus is talking about divorce, right? And Jesus quotes to them. They're saying like, is divorce permissible, right? And he quotes them from Genesis, and he quotes this quote. He says, "Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh," right? So they're together, just one being. There's no room for polygamy in the mindset of the Bible. Now, you might think, well, that's really interesting because biblical characters do it, and some people might appeal to that. This is actually what the Mormons appeal to, right? Or did appeal to when they practiced polygamy and said it was okay. The problem is that polygamy is continually punished throughout the Bible. It's interesting that he would cite Moses because it's true that Moses does have another wife, but that's only after Miriam dies. So his first wife dies, and then Zipporah rather, after Zipporah dies, and then he marries an Egyptian woman, which is actually very interesting to think about, but we're not going to talk about that today. Anyway, so he has only one wife, right? And you move on, you get to the other figures that are famous for this type of bad behavior, like David or Solomon, and you'll continually see that they're actually punished for these things through other means, right? So Solomon takes many, many wives, and that only ends up causing the downfall of the kingdom of Israel as it splits in two because you have competing heirs, you have people drawn away from worshiping God because they're worshiping these foreign gods that Solomon's wife has brought. So you have here someone who is trying to remember things about the Bible in order to cite and protect his own bad behavior, right? Like proof texting. But he doesn't understand these greater concepts that are at play. And it's clear from everything of church history that only single marriages were allowed, right? It was never allowed for polygamy and things like that. Sometimes when you have Christians coming to other places, they end up converting people who are polygamists, and then there's this big conversation is like, do we make all of these invalid? Like, how do you do that? But I'm not going to talk about that because that's not the question. The point is that this guy is not being a good husband. He needs to repent of that, and he's bad because he's faking the Bible in order to cover for his bad behavior. So that's bad too. So don't be like him. All right, everyone. Good question, Joan. I will see you guys on Sunday for church. I'm looking forward to it. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Peace out.